Hi, everybody. I'm on a live Facebook broadcast coming from my page. I will have to share this over to my Facebook and my personal Facebook in a little while. Anyway, I'm Joseph. I am the writer of Joseph M. Jablonski. I have done in the past these writing journals, these videos where I spend a couple of minutes talking about what I'm planning with my writing, what I'm going to be doing next, what I have been doing, most importantly, in order to keep myself accountable. Because as I'll kind of explain in a second, in the modern world, it's so easy to just get so caught up in projects and things like that, busyness, 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 but not be writing. And while like it's something I really enjoy doing, I really enjoy writing, I really enjoy uh, working on plots, editing, those types of things. But I don't enjoy editing as much as the writing part of it. You gotta still commit yourself. You still gotta commit the time. You still gotta be devoted to it. So anyway, I'm live right now, kind of preaching to the world what I've been working on as a way to kind of promote my stuff, but also as a way to keep myself accountable as a writer. To say next week when I do another one of these writing journals, I'll hopefully be able to tell you this, and that, whatever it is. So what's been going on in my life? A lot has happened in my personal life. It kind of led me to realize that I need to get back into these writing journals. I was really busy and a lot of good things happened, but I ended up getting married. I graduated last May from college. I ended up officially moving to a real apartment here in Winchester. The last writing journals, you might have seen me either in my room back in Seaford or in the really cramped apartment my fiance and I had in Winchester, which was just not a livable space. But now we are married and we are in a much larger apartment. This room here is our office. She has her desk behind there, hence why there's the picture of Bernadette Peters on the wall over there. And I've got my desk over here. We're still decorating, still working on things. Also, kind of another reason why I haven't been writing is I've been working on putting this apartment together. I don't know if anybody of you have, moved into a new place. I'm sure that there's definitely somebody that's watching this that probably has moved to a new place at a certain point, but when you're putting a new apartment together and you move into a place, you find out all the things are broken. It's like a new car. Like you get another car and you find out that you have to replace the brakes and other things like that. But anyway, I'm getting out there and been working on the apartment, put up curtains today. But the point is I haven't been writing. I have been spending all this time working on putting stuff together, and I realized that ultimately the lesson is there's always something that can get in the way of your writing. The task list is never finished. But if you really want to write, you got to write, and you got to do stuff to write. Hence why we have the stream that I'm doing right now, the quick little writing journal. So what have I been working on? What am I going to be coming out with, and what is going to be coming out in the future? Well, the big thing that I kind of promoted on this page a little earlier was Dropout is coming out. So what's Dropout? Dropout is my chapbook, a collection of poems, about 54 pages, I think was the last look at the length of it. That is the poems I kind of wrote during the process of which and after and a little bit before my experience dropping out of college. I went to Catholic University for 3.5 years, and then I realized it wasn't for me. There was a lot wrapped up in that. Everybody deals with different difficulties in college for different reasons, but ultimately for me, it was just a cocktail of mental issues and things I hadn't resolved and the desires I wanted to fulfill, and I had to go through that experience. And being a dropout from college definitely kind of puts a little bit of a mark on you. And ultimately, I realized that this was something that I needed to deal with, and I was having trouble dealing with it. So I just wrote poetry about it. Wrote poetry where there was a lot of angst, a lot of humor, a lot of sarcasm, a lot of struggling with the college process in general, with the purpose of college, why it's there, and if anybody has been through college, student loans, that there's a lot of issues with the way college system is nowadays. So I kind of target a little bit of that in a very artistic way. Well, it's getting published. There is a publisher who publishes poetry. She's been publishing poetry locally in the Winchester area, which is actually based out of Michigan. So my books are going to be delivered to Winchester hopefully by the 22nd, because the 22nd is the Shenandoah Valley Book Festival, the first of its kind that's being held right here in Winchester. And anybody that's here in Winchester, anybody that's kind of in the area, please come out and support your local writers and your local authors. We will be having book signings all day at the Winchester Book Gallery. It'll just be a great event. There's tons of things for people with, when it comes to books. I'm going to share the event as a comment on the video, but my book is that I'm actually going to be one of the featured writers at the Shenandoah Valley Book Festival, which was huge when I found out that was going to be a thing that's going to be happening. And so at 11 o'clock a.m. in the Winchester Book Gallery, I'll be there with my books. I'll be signing. I'll be talking to people, talking up poetry. I think I'm one of the only poetry people that's actually featured there. And I'll be promoting and selling this book, Dropout. So it's my first debut as a published writer into society. It's really, really awesome, and I'm super excited. It just feels great to have something physical and to be able to sell that to people and be able to say, hey, this is what I have, and I don't care if only 5 people buy it, but it's a reflection of who I am. And there was a lot of nervousness with that. I was concerned, to whether I should really put myself out there like that. I was concerned whether I should end up really putting these personal things out. And a lot of people have written poetry, but a lot of people keep their poetry quiet. And even though it's risky, and I know that people are going to judge me for some of the things I've written, I was pretty hard on Catholic University for some things I shouldn't have been. It was ultimately a artistic expression of my feeling at the time. And that's what's most important. So I'm proud of what I have, and I'm really excited to be able to put that out there. So that's one of the big things that's been happening. That is the major thing that's really happening. And this is obviously, it's just an idea stage. Depending on what job I end up getting, I'm looking for jobs, things like that. I might try to do a book tour. I've got friends as south as Florida and as north as Boston. And I want to make sure that I can promote my book throughout the Eastern Seaboard, but also it would be a great way to visit everybody that I haven't seen from the wedding. And I know the wedding was really recent, but it would just be awesome to be able to see everybody. So I want to thank everybody that's right now in. We only got 2 people watch right now, but that's fine. One of the teachers from Chaminade is actually watching, Mr. Petruccio. Thank you very much for tuning in. I got my start when it came to philosophy at Chaminade High School, and it was something that really led me on a beautiful, crazy path. And so that's where I am now. So what other stuff? And James Marafino, one of my groomsmen, is also tuning in. So shout out to both of you. What am I doing right now other than Dropout? When it comes to actually writing, I wrote a short story that I am kind of demoing as a potential first chapter to my novel, that a rewrite of the novel I have, which is called Just War. It's kind of it's a speculative fiction, abortion, dialectic, political thriller. So it's one of those things that I wrote it back before Donald Trump was being elected, and a lot of things happened since then. And it is obviously things have changed, and they helped me change to know how I can better improve the novel. But this little short story, which I'm demoing, and I'm going to put out there, where even if I'm going to just have to kind of share it for free, I would like to get it published in some sort of literary journal. But I just got to put it out there on Facebook. I don't care. Really, really intense short story that I was inspired by the Kavanaugh hearings about, where something like that goes horribly wrong. And it's just a really dramatic thing. I shared it with a couple of people today at a writing group here in Winchester, and it just was it was pretty powerful writing. So I'm kind of excited to get back into the novel. And then other than that, I'm going to try to submit poetry again, something that I haven't wanted to do for a while. Submitting poetry is kind of rough because you feel like you're shooting out into the void. But I read a really interesting article recently about how one can get themselves out of what's called the slush pile, which is where most poems that are getting submitted go. And I'll see what I can do with that. And I'm going to try to reach out to some of my old contacts, old places I've submitted, and just get my poetry out there again, regardless of what it takes. So that's really what's going to be happening this week. I'm going to be writing new poetry, hopefully. I'll share some of that on Facebook, share some of that on my website, which I'll bump into the comments here. And I like to finish these videos off with what am I reading right now. Again, this is the first time I'm doing this in a while, but I want to keep this done every single week, even though next weekend is going to be crazy with the Writers Fest. Maybe I'll try to be live from Winchester Book Gallery before I go in. But right now, what am I reading? I am reading this book. So I'm going to bring it up to the camera here. It's A Jesuit Off Broadway by Father James Martin. So Father James Martin's in the news with this whole thing about helping out, LGBTQ and Catholicism, but this is a totally different take. This is him being the priest advisor for the play The Last Days of Judas Iscariot, which is one of my favorite plays of all time. The Last Days of Judas Iscariot is it's very foul-mouthed play, but it basically tackles the theological issues surrounding Judas Iscariot, who betrayed Jesus. And I went to see a reading of it in New Paltz, and it was just so powerful. Because while it seems like it's very secular minded, it's actually not. It asks really deep questions. And turns out that Father Martin, was an advisor for everybody writing the play when it was going on at the Public. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool because, he was, and so basically it's titled A Jesuit Off-Broadway, Behind the Scenes. But basically this could be better titled How I Was Involved with the Last Days of Judas Iscariot, or How the Last Days of Judas Iscariot Came to Be as a play. And this is one of my favorite plays. It's kind of a really good read. This is actually a borrowed book. I borrowed this from a couple people over at the local parish that love the that love the book and are big readers, and me and my wife met when we went to one of the parish date nights actually last Paramount Patrick's Day, March. Anyway, thank you very much for tuning in. I'm going to be doing another one of these next week, and I promise it's going to be awesome. So whether you're watching it later on Facebook, go ahead and like my page. If you're I'll share this to my personal Facebook. Go and find my page. If watching it on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and share. The whole thing with that. Anyway, good to tune in. I'll catch you guys next week.